Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst, and today I'm here with a lovely, lovely fellow Canadian. She's in a different province, but she's a Canadian gal. And today's guest is Sue Paulson. She is a magnificent mentor, author, podcast host, and founder of the Magnificent Lab. After walking through cancer, and other life changing adversities, Sue discovered that healing was not about fixing herself. It was about recognizing the magnificence that had been within her all along. Sue, welcome to the Women Like Me podcast. I'm just so thankful that you're here today.
Oh, Julie, I was so looking forward to this, and I didn't realize you were a fellow Canadian, so I'm going, oh, how fun.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
Yes, yeah. So Sue, let me ask you my first question. You describe yourself as an inner explorer. So what have you discovered through exploring your own inner world?
Oh, well, lots. That's the simple answer.
Yeah.
The you know the we grow up learning to go outward, to look outside ourselves for all of the things that are going to bring us what we think is joy and happiness and peace and so on. And early on in my 20s, I was so fascinated, probably even earlier than that, I was so fascinated with what made me tick. Like what was I all about really? And there was this, well, is there more? And I was too young to even really understand why I was even asking that question. But then when I got into my 20s and was I had this great opportunity to take a personal growth workshop called Mind Dynamics,
Ah,
where they took everybody inward, and not a journey. I mean, my kind of introduction to that was Think and Grow Rich. And
yes.
I was in that whole Think and Grow Rich sales game kind of thing, and then there was this opportunity to go inward. Well, wow. Did I discover a gold mine of opportunities to figure out what I was all about? And of course, in entering that arena, there was this big concern that I'd find out all kinds of stuff that I didn't like about myself.
Ah,
But I thought, oh well, I guess when I discover that, I can fix it. And much to my delight and surprise, what was there was bold, beautiful, magnificent me. And I'm going, what?
that's awesome. That is, yeah. I sometimes we're fearful of what we're going to find in there because
Yes.
we're always stuffing stuff in there. But
Yeah.
that's beautiful to, yeah, bold, magnificent me. Love that. Yeah,
And of course, that applies to everybody.
of
And
course it does. Yeah.
and so I'm not unique in that. It's just it was such a beautiful discovery. And there are times when I reflect. Actually, it kind of scared me. It scared is a small word. It probably terrified me because I
Oh,
found myself when I discovered I was that big. I'm kind of like, okay, back in the box, back in the box.
I'm not ready for this visibility.
What am I going to do with all of that? That it seems like cheating. I've
Yeah,
discovered this
yeah.
wonderful thing about myself, and I have all this power. Oh, I don't
Um,
know if I'm ready for this yet.
Yeah, wow. Well, you teach women to embrace their magnificence rather than constantly trying to improve themselves. So, what's the difference in that?
So the difference that I discovered, so we're looking at if we look at setting the bar, so we have our starting place and we have where we think we want to go. And it's growing up, it was all about, well, improve, 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 fix, 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 add, all of these things. I'd get to a benchmark, I'd achieve something, and then I'm going, yeah, but it's not quite enough, or I'm not quite enough. And so I'd go again, 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 again. Well, but the bar is always moving because we're starting from a place of lack.
Ah,
We're starting from
yes.
a position of, well, I'm pretty sure I'm not enough. And so I have these deficiencies, and I think everybody told me I need to work on this and do that, and I didn't know anything about that. And so we keep adding in the hopes that we'll kind of grow into our shoes. But what's really happening is I mean, this is, I think, why imposter syndrome is so prevalent, particularly for women, is that oh, if they really knew me, oh, they'd find out all kinds of things that would say, no, I'm not all of that.
Yeah.
And so we're working with the wrong track. It's on the wrong track. Well, what would happen if we started from, well, I came in magnificent. Well,
Mhm.
what am I going to do with that? You know,
Oh,
so
I got shivers. Oh, I love that.
yeah, so it's rather than fear-based, which is the lack scale that, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not enough and I got to improve and fix and change and blah blah blah. We're looking at the love scale, the self-love scale. Well, if I love myself enough to really dive into who I am at core, well, then what could I do with that? How would that shift and change my attitude, my focus, my way of not only being, but my way of doing? What would that look like?
Yeah. Wow. Well, women quietly carry the belief that they're not enough. Where
Mm.
do you think that usually comes from? Where does that begin? Excuse me.
Whoa. Well, I think it begins generationally, and
Mm,
certainly I can think of lots of genes that got inherited from my parents and my ancestors and so on, where they felt they were not enough, like just to struggle and survive was a big deal. and
mm,
and so and of course each generation wants better for their children than the previous generation, and so there's this almost anxiety around that whoa, I don't want my kids to experience what I experienced. And so therefore they've got to
um,
be better. And I see their potential. And if
mm.
they'll only just do this to measure up, if they'll only just do this to, I want them to go to university, I want them to on and on and on and on. And instead of so we're pushed, and I was pushed lots. It was very subtle. It wasn't with a big "you will do this," but the pressure was there nonetheless. And the first time that the teacher said, well, Sue's really good in English and social studies, but her science and her math just aren't really up to standard. And
Yes.
so that's the focus, right?
Yes.
Oh, so get better at math. So the things I love to do, I wasn't allowed to look at in any detail. And the things that I struggled with and
Mm.
still struggle with, like math for me has always been a challenge. It's less so now that I added a dollar sign to it. Then I'm way more interested. But
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I agree with you so much. And, I guess that's part of our culture, our school system is that we don't focus on what they're good at. We're focusing
no,
more on what they're not good at to try to
yeah,
bring those levels up. But I was the same way. And I think women, not to stigmatize us, but
no,
math typically is
yeah,
not, we're more communication, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Men are more math. And I remember sitting with a teacher. I went back to school when I was 24 to get my GED. And I
sure.
remember sitting with a teacher and he was going over math with me and he's showing me this equation. And I'm going, but I don't know how you got that. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter how I got that. What matters is that if you do this and this and this is you get the right outcome. And I had a block because I was
Mhm.
like, but I don't understand how you got that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I could see him rolling his eyes, the poor teacher, like, oh my goodness.
Well,
And
exactly.
my career doesn't need all that math.
No, no,
Like I'm
that's
like you,
right.
put a dollar sign in front of it, I got it.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Well, and
Yeah.
I struggled with the same. So explain to me what X, Y, and Z are. Like
Oh,
I don't, those mean nothing to me. If
yeah.
we're comparing apples and oranges, okay, I got that. I
Yeah.
understand that. But
Yeah.
this formulaic stuff that had no bearing on, like I couldn't find a
Yeah.
a place in my life where it fit.
Yes.
And so so then I just, okay, somebody knows how to do an Excel spreadsheet. Well, please put the formulas in for me and I'll just carry on.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I think back to our original point or your original point is that if that makes us feel bad and we forget
Yes.
and nobody's focusing on the good qualities, the good grades, the good things that we have that interest in. And so that all gets lost and now we're feeling icky and like a loser because I don't know my
Yep.
division and I can't
Yep.
don't know what
Yep.
XYZ means and
Oh, sure. Well,
yeah.
it was interesting that I had a conversation with a friend who's Chinese, and he said in the Chinese culture, when children are born and as they grow, they watch these kids really, really carefully to see which talents emerge, like where are their interests, where are their, like what excites them, what interests them. And so when they discover that, if art is a big thing for them, then right away, young, they get them practicing and doing things with art. If if it's math and sciences, then they're steered in that direction. And I'm going, wow. Well, I don't recall anybody steering me any particular way. It was just
No, no, no. Find it
get
out for
through as
yourself.
best you
Just
can.
yeah. What and I think that that's beautiful because
Yes.
we all are individuals. We all have different talents and they're not being again, we're focusing on what we're not doing correct versus what we are
Yes.
doing correct. And that just makes us feel bad. And now we feel like we can't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
it seeds that ground. And so, if I say to you, okay, well, Julie, back in the day, I want you to write a list of 100 things you don't like about yourself. Well, I know my list would be accomplished pretty darn fast. Like,
Yes.
okay, there's this and there's this and there's this and there's this.
Yeah.
But if we flip that around, and this is the exercise I like to give to my people these days, is I say, all right, I want you to write a list of 100 things you love about yourself. What do you like and admire?
Mm.
What are your talents? What are your strengths? What are your what delights you? Like, and it can be anything. There's no limits in this. It could
Yeah.
be anything, physical attributes. It can be personal attributes, your
Yeah.
your moral character. It could be things you do, talents you've discovered, strengths you have. All of that. Write it down. Well, most people are hard pressed to do 10, never mind 100,
That's
but
so sad, eh?
which is pretty sad. But of
Yeah.
course, what it really speaks to is how conditioned we are to look for the negative, to look for the flaws, to do
Yes.
whatever. I mean, the makeup industry is alive and well
Yes.
because, well, what about those wrinkles and what about the
Yes.
I'm going,
Oh, no, for sure.
I earned every one of them. Thank you very much.
That's the way to say it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Sue, you have faced cancer, trauma, adversity. Was there a particular moment when you realized that your pain also contained a gift?
Oh, yes. The probably the most significant gifts that came, and I suspected they were there, was through the cancer journey. That now I you got to know. I mean, I've been involved in self-reflection and personal growth for like 50 years. And so I had a suspicion that when cancer came calling, that there was going to be something big that was
Mm,
good would come out of it. Now, let's face it, in the thick of it, no. I just was doing the best I could to get through it and survive.
yeah.
But there were two particular pieces that I hadn't got from all of the work and everything that I had focused on in my life. And one of them, the first one that I got, and this was when I got after the initial diagnosis, was I realized that I was a very poor receiver. I knew how to give.
Ah.
I had been brought up to serve. And so giving to me was just as natural as breathing. But of course, there was this fierce
Mm.
independence that developed out of that. And I'm going, well, no, I don't need anything. No, I've got it. I can do this myself. No problem.
Mhm.
And so then
Mm.
there I am, lower than a snake's belly. I cannot cope. I cannot manage. I need help. And for me to ask for help, oh boy, that was really, really, really hard. And a friend said, "Well, Sue, you've given to us all these years. Now it's our turn to give to you." And even then, I didn't want it. Like I was a and I received grudgingly, I confess, and forgive me, all those of you who gave to me when I was going through cancer, because I wasn't as appreciative as I could have been. I didn't know how, literally. And
Yeah.
and so and of course the challenge is when we don't receive, we block the flow. So how can a giver give if you're not willing to receive? And so
Mhm.
it was the first that was the first big lesson. And then when I went through chemo and radiation, and I'm clear, and I'm clear, and I'm clear, and then 8 months later I'm not clear. The cancer came back in exactly the same
Oh,
spot, and I'm going, oh no. And I didn't even want to tell anyone, because of course I'd been on umpteen dozen prayer lists and healing circles, and people were cheering me on, and Sue, you can do this. Well, then I get this second diagnosis, and I'm feeling like the worst failure that ever
oh,
could exist on the planet Earth. And I said to my partner at the time, I said, I, I don't even want to tell anyone that I've had a second bout of cancer, because I failed, and I don't deserve their
oh,
regard anymore.
wow.
And I heard myself say this, and the shock of that statement just hit me square, like two by four. And I'm going, don't deserve, not worthy, what? And so there was the second piece that I had not, even all of the things that I had grown through and accomplished over my life. Here was this big piece that had been hiding somewhere. Sue, you don't think you're worthy, and you think everybody else is worthy, but you don't think you are. So, well, that triggered some in-depth. I started a course of hypnotherapy. I found a psychooncologist whose specialty was helping people get to the root of the trauma around having cancer. And because I said to him, I said, this is not coming back a third time. I said, we're dealing with this right now. Because I knew that it wasn't just something that happens to people, which I had been told by someone, oh, Sue, this just happens. No, it doesn't. The body is bringing this to my attention because there's something that needs healing inside me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got to find out what it is.
Wow. What a revelation for you.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, you feel like you let them down. All those prayer groups and healing circles and people rah-rahing for you.
Sure, sure, because I felt that their regard was conditional. It was conditional on me being a success, in me getting through cancer and having a victory. And because it was as if in my failure, well, it
Mm,
wasn't as if, it was to me,
yeah.
well, because I failed, I'm a failure. And
Ah,
so, well, who's gonna pay any attention to a failure?
yeah. Yeah. Well, just go pray for somebody else who really needs it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Well, sorry, it didn't work. Your prayers didn't work in this instance, so you better just turn your attention to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh
I'm
my
going,
goodness.
I personally would never do that to anyone else. If they
No.
failed, so what?
No.
And I'm
Yeah.
going, well, why would I not give myself the
Hmm.
same grace
Yeah.
as I give to everybody else? Because life is
Yeah.
hard, and
Yes.
we face all kinds of stuff that just
Yeah.
sets us reeling.
Yeah.
And so at some point, self-compassion needs to enter the picture.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you have written a book called The Healing Call of Cancer.
Yes.
So, I mean, from your story, I think I know why you wrote the book, but can you tell us what the book is about and why you wrote it?
Yes, absolutely. So initially, I didn't want to write about cancer anymore. I wrote about my journey in my memoir, Magnificent Misery, and I thought, okay, I'm done. That's it. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that anymore. And that you probably know that little voice that pokes at you and says, Sue, you're not done
Yes.
yet.
Yeah.
And I resisted mightily for probably 2 or 3 years. And but of course, you can't unhear a message. And so it was
No.
in there, and the seed kind of grew and grew. And well, why do I have to write a book about cancer? I mean, I'm not a professional. I'm not in the medical profession. I only have my lived experience as a at that point as a survivor. But I reflected on my journey, and I thought, there were so many things I didn't know entering this journey. There was the terror that was part of it, and how do you work through that? How do you, because I believe it's not a journey to take alone. Like no one should be taking a cancer journey alone, because it's a daunting prospect.
Mhm.
And I tried to manage it myself and so on. And I thought, wow, I've learned a few things in that whole process. So maybe it would be helpful for family and those who have a diagnosis to have a little, almost like a little how-to book. Here's what you need to pay attention to. Here's some ideas, here are some thoughts.
Yes.
And of course, it has a holistic approach, because our bodies are not cars. You don't just take them to the service depot and pull out this part and put in another part. And,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that might be part of it, but
Yes.
really, I mean, our body is a communication device, and
Yeah.
it signals all kinds of things, and we're connected not just bodily, but mind and emotions and spirit, and
Mhm.
it all is meant to operate in sync. And so if the body is out of sync, it's sending signals that, okay, what else do you need to look at? Not just the surface,
Yeah.
but is there an underlying root here? And so I wanted people to get an understanding of not just the how to take the steps in managing through, because that's certainly a big part of it. You get a diagnosis, and then what happens after that, and then you're doing treatment, and what happens after that, and then you're clear, and what happens after that. And so it's that progression of things. But in the meantime, I wanted people to look at it from an entirely different perspective, to say, hey, this is a cancer is a call. And I like to and that's why I put it in the title, is it's like a wake-up call. So it
Yeah.
wakes us up. And let's face it, like there's nothing going to wake you up quite as much as a life-threatening condition. And you go, what? And so if we're willing, it can help us take a look at our lives in an entirely different way. Now, I mean, there's one of two things that can happen with a cancer diagnosis. Either it's your final call home, the way you're going to leave planet Earth and carry on from there, or it's to wake up to a better life. Okay, something's not
Mhm.
been working in my life. When I talk to other cancer survivors and thrivers, and most of them won't talk too much about their experience, but um, the little thing that they'll whisper is, actually, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And you go,
Yeah.
oh, because it woke them up because
Yes.
something was not
Yes.
working in their lives.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Well, women are often praised for being resilient, but sometimes resilience comes another way. It's another way that we're hiding our pain. So how do we know if we're just surviving or if we're actually healing?
Oh, such a good question. Well, I think the answer comes in the heart space.
Mhm.
So one of the things that a lot of times we don't focus on because we're in our heads a lot. I don't know about you, but I have this monkey mind. Goodness.
Yes.
There are days when I'm going, okay, that's enough now, go swing on somebody else's monkey bars because
Yeah.
and of course that's where an awful lot of the fear resides. And
Yeah.
and so well, if I can just get through this, if I can just overcome this, if I can, well, then at some point, if we venture into our heart space and say, all right, what is it that's really going on here? So there's been times when I took fear with me into my heart space and I
Mhm.
said, okay, fear, talk to me. What's going on? What's this all about? I didn't try to deny it. I didn't try to push it away. I wanted to have a conversation with it. And it takes a little practice to open up to that. But
Yeah.
anytime I did, same thing with pain. I take my pain inside and I say, okay, pain, what are you trying to tell me here? Because, it's like tuning your radio dial. Let's get right on the right frequency.
Yeah.
And when you're on the right frequency, then answers come. And I mean, part of that process for me has been having pen and paper in hand,
Mhm.
because the physical writing down of what my questions are or where I'm stuck, or putting just blabbing it out all out onto the page, that I
Yeah.
can begin to make sense of it. Well, then there's this process that happens for me that turns positive at some point. And it's almost like dear Abby is responding to whatever I've written on the paper and saying, it's okay, Sue, pay it, so part of me,
Yeah.
my higher self, my more aware self, whoever that is giving me some solace or some compassion or another way to
Yeah.
think about things. And there's the healing right there, that you go, okay, now I
Mhm.
have a better understanding. I get what this is all about. And then when we start forgiving ourselves for, there was lots of things I had to forgive myself about in the cancer journey. I had to, first of all, I had to forgive myself for hanging out in denial for as long as I did. The
Yeah.
river of denial is very long
Yes.
because I didn't
Yeah.
want to face it. And and
No.
and so I forgave myself for that. It's okay, Sue. This is big. This is horrible. This is whatever. I needed to forgive myself for being so fiercely independent and imagining that I could just handle this all myself. I've got this. No problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat this and
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
dear.
Wow. Well, what would you say to a woman who's done years of personal development, but is still feeling lacking inside, feeling like something's maybe wrong with her?
Mm. Well, change your mind.
Mhm.
Change
Yeah.
your mind. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds a little bit trite and it
Yeah.
sounds a little too simple,
Yeah.
but we have these minds that are so incredible, and
Mhm.
we're the one thinking the thoughts. And
Yes.
and so decide, I could be mistaken. Is there something wrong with me? I might be wrong that there's something wrong with me. What if I'm not wrong? What if I am enough? What if I'm more than enough? What if I'm
Yeah.
and so that's part of it, is to just flat out change our minds and get in the habit of changing our minds and
Yes.
saying, no, why would I think that? I look at all of the evidence, and this is where a kind of part two of that 100 things that you love about yourself. And I really encourage your listeners to play that little game, do that
Yes.
exercise.
Yeah.
Well, you could take another sheet of paper and 100 successes that you've had in your life. And when you start looking at those two together and you realize, and I think I'm not enough. Like, what's going, there's still something
Yeah.
wrong with me? Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Might be something wrong with my thinking.
Yes.
Well, that I have control over.
Yes.
And so because of course, where does that I call it stinking thinking come from? Well, well, it comes from all the other voices in your head that
Yeah.
told you from the time you were hardly old enough to understand, oh no, well, you don't quite measure up, and the comparison and the judgment and on and on and on. Well, at some point we need to turn away from that. We need to say,
Yes.
well, that's a story I'm not going to buy into. I'm not watching that movie anymore. I'm
Yeah.
changing the channel and not
Yeah.
listening to that anymore.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you have written a second book, and it's Magnificent Misery
Mhm.
from Adversity to Ecstasy. So, how can misery and magnificence exist within the same life?
Well, and I think, I guess the short answer is we are magnificent at being magnificently angry, magnificently sad, magnificently happy. I mean, we exhibit that a lot. We just don't
Yeah.
put magnificence on it. But of
Yeah.
course, so for me, there is a magnificence about misery that can start us on a journey that we never imagined we would take.
Yeah.
So as just a little snippet from the book. So the book starts out with a near-death experience I had in 2007.
Oh.
And so there I am on the other side, and I had never experienced that level
Mm.
of magnificence, that the unconditional love, the
Oh.
full acceptance of who I was
Mm.
and my place in the universe. I mean, it was absolutely glorious. And I so I get this glimpse of, I guess, what I would call heaven,
Yeah.
and I'm quite, wow, can I stay here?
Yes.
No, actually, you can't.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
I'm, what? So there I am back on planet Earth. Well, then the misery started.
Oh.
I mean, it was already not that great to start
Yeah.
with. And
Yeah.
then even more misery started because my whole world of what I had believed up to that point kind of collapsed in on itself. Like I was wrong about so many things, and judgment being one of them. I thought, well, you have to do good works to earn your way into heaven. Nope. There is no book.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going, well, that bites. An awful lot of the things I was doing in my life was so I could get another good check mark.
Yes.
And you mean to tell me those, 153,000 check marks don't count?
Yeah.
Well, no, not really.
Yeah.
You're here as a divine child because you exist. You didn't have to do anything to to earn that. There was nothing to earn. You have a place at the celestial banquet table because you're part of it all. You're an
Yeah.
integral part of all that is. And I'm,
Yeah.
oh, but coming back into this plane of existence, well, I was lost for quite a while. And and then of course 4 years later I get the cancer diagnosis and I'm going,
Oh.
now what? Well, of course it was all so
Yeah.
magnificently interwoven that
Hmm.
talk about meant to be. Now, if somebody had told me at the very beginning, when I was conscious enough, oh, Sue, this is what you're going to experience for you. No, no, I'm not picking that. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
forget that. I'm not going there. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, at some point when I was in non-physical form, I chose, and I, as much of a as much as there were lots of chills and spills, I don't regret a second of it because it's
No.
that, the weaving of that tapestry of my life
Yeah. Yeah.
has become so rich and so vibrant. Not, talk about the hero's journey. Well, we are
Yeah.
heroes of
Yes.
our own journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I mean, you're so right. And, I think about, I was fired from a job once,
Hmm.
cried for a whole weekend.
Me too.
Absolute best thing that could have ever happened to me, truly. And so all of the things, really, all of the things that have ever happened really were for my benefit.
Yes,
But it's hard to see that when you're, laying on the couch crying for a weekend,
absolutely.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and and I think that if we can somehow, I mean, I'm better now at this. So when something comes up, I take a deep breath and I go, oh, I'm about to learn something. This is going to be good. It's growing time again.
Yeah.
Just try to, my brother, I have a brother that a few years ago, he was at a job for 25 years. He got fired in 1 week, fired from his job. His poor little doggy died.
Oh.
And his girlfriend, that they've been not the best, left him. And he called.
Hmm.
And I'm listening to this very horribly sad week that this my poor brother has had.
No
And
kidding.
I said, well, congratulations. You didn't like that job. You were fighting with her. I mean, your poor dog. I got nothing to say about that. But
No, no.
guess what? You are free to go and do whatever you want to do. And he
Yes.
stopped and he listened and he goes, well, yeah, I didn't like that job. And yeah, we weren't happy. I go,
Hmm.
life's got something for you. It's coming. But I didn't know what else to say other than, well, congratulations.
Good for you.
Yeah, I
Well, that was
mean,
an interrupter, wasn't it? A beautiful
it
interrupter for
was.
him.
Yeah, yeah, because,
Exactly.
something good's coming. Now, I don't know
Yep.
what it is, but
Yep.
you are
Yep.
about to have some life-changing stuff going on and for the better. And so I think that if we can all just try when we go through those terrible experiences, try to say, okay, ask the questions.
Exactly.
What is it? Why is this happening to me? What do I need to learn from this? What do I need to change about my life, maybe?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
my brother's better now, so
Of course. Well,
of
this is
course.
the thing, and it at the time it feels like it's going to go on forever.
Oh, it's the end of life.
Yeah, and we don't have to like what smacks us right in the face, and I sure
Yes.
don't. Like
No.
I resist, especially uncomfortable change like that. It's just, ugh.
Yes.
But there are gifts for us, and the misery won't last forever. We just keep, one foot in
Yeah.
front of the other and say there's got to be something better here.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Sue, tell us what the Magnificent Lab is.
All right. So the Magnificence Lab is a place where we gather online on a weekly basis to explore the good and the challenging all around the topic of magnificence. So
Mm.
some of it is embracing. We have opportunities with any given topic to embrace um, the more that we're discovering about ourselves. And then, of
Mm.
course, as part of that, you flip the card over and okay, what's getting in the way? What's blocking us from getting where we most want to go? And so it's both a philosophical and a practical approach because I'm a how-to person. I want to know how this is going to apply in my daily life. How can I make a difference? So
Yeah.
our topic the last couple of weeks has been around boundaries. And
Oh.
and so I've been exploring that because I had a particular incident in my own life that this word just jumped out in a bigger way than it ever had before. And I'm having a deep think about this. And so because I didn't have any conclusions that I was that happy about, then when we met in the lab, I said, okay, here's what I'm dealing with this week. And I want to know. So where are you coming from? And then we'd have this discussion, and then at the end of whatever anybody had to share, we decided, all right, there were two other things that came out about it. So actually this afternoon we're going to talk more about this to see what happens. And so it's a chance to explore with other people who are like-minded what's the deepest part of ourselves. And if I'm going to, because magnificence is a big topic, and
Yes.
it's hard to describe, and so
Yeah.
there's lots of facets to it. So that's what the lab is about. It's a subscription based membership,
Yeah.
and I've had some fun with it. It's been delightful to work with my people, and of course it led to just exploring that part of it. It led to me getting into more of the podcast arena, which I didn't know I was going to have so much fun with.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, I get to talk about magnificence lots when
Yes.
I'm a guest. And then it led me to so I now, because I found a producer who could do all the back end stuff, I my own host podcast called Magnify Your Magnificence is has just started here in the last couple of months. And so
Mhm.
I thought, wow, how much fun can a person have just
Yes. Yeah.
talking about what I most love to talk about? And so that's been a very rewarding journey for me.
Wow. Well, I want everybody to know that we're going to have links to Sue in the show notes. So I haven't double checked, but I'm pretty sure we'll have her lab and where you can get books and websites and all that kind of stuff. So everywhere that you can find her, we will make sure those are in there and make it easy for you to be able to reach out to her. Sue, I have just enjoyed this conversation. You know what I love about being a podcast host
Mhm.
is I get to talk to people like you and get inspired and I'm just like full of tricks and tips and I just love it. I just love it.
Yes.
And I love how you just have built helping people around the word magnificence because as you're talking, I'm saying to myself, well, you're pretty damn magnificent, Julie.
That's right.
I'm going to be telling my grandkids how magnificent they are.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's long past time. I mean, it wasn't my concept, but
No,
but Spirit kept poking at me saying, Sue, you want to move into the topic of magnificence.
yeah,
And I'm going, well, but I don't even know if I'm magnificent. So of course I've been mentoring myself for quite some time now.
yes,
It had to
yes,
start with me. And
yes,
and
yeah,
but I mean, for our younger generation coming up, I don't want same thing. I don't want my granddaughters to feel that they're flawed,
yeah.
that they came in flawed, because they're not. And these
No.
bright spirits that have so much to offer, and they're so smart, and they're so well. Let's nurture that. Well, what better way to do that than talking to them about how great they are?
Oh, beautiful. That is a perfect spot to end our conversation. Thank you. Thank you, Sue. I have just really enjoyed that. And yeah, it's and not just our grandkids, kids
No,
everywhere because
everybody.
yeah, I just want to mention quickly that I years ago in my other life I was a abuse prevention counselor with the Canadian Red Cross, and one of the statistics out there for kids who they were able to leave a better life than some of the other kids that didn't was they had one person who told them how magnificent they were. And that can be the kid that is irritating you at the store. It can be a kid that you don't even know. You might be that one person to change that child's life.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
we can never discount the power of one person. People say, well,
Yeah.
what can I do? I'm only one person. Yeah, but you could
Yeah.
be that vital person to someone who's struggling desperately, and
Yeah.
something you said, or some little tiny thing you did, or maybe you smiled at them. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know what.
No.
I love the phrase, you never know how far your light will shine.
Oh,
And I get shivers every time I say
yeah.
that phrase because it's true. You
Yeah.
don't know. And
Yeah.
so just keep shining.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sue. Thank you for doing this. Thank you all for being here for this episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. And don't forget to go to the show notes. You can find all sorts of ways that you can reach out to Sue. So don't hesitate to do that and start living magnificently.
Yes,
Thank you,
please.
Sue.
Thank
Take
you
care,
so much,
everybody.
Julie.
Bye bye.